They say you never really know a person until you divorce them, but I disagree. You really know a person when you catch them thinking they've gotten away with murder.
My name is David. I'm 34 years old, and up until 3 months ago, I thought I was the luckiest man alive. I had been married to Sarah for 6 years. We met in college. She was the one, the girl everyone stopped to look at, but who only had eyes for me. Or so I told myself. We built a life together, bought a house in the suburbs, adopted a golden retriever named Buster, and talked about trying for kids next year. I work in cybersecurity, keep that in mind, it's important later, and she works in high-end corporate sales. The change was subtle. It wasn't lipstick on a collar or coming home smelling like men's cologne. It was colder. About 6 months ago, Sarah got a new boss. Let's call him Greg. Greg was everything I wasn't. Older, flashy, drove a Porsche, wore suits that cost more than my first car. Sarah started talking about him constantly. Greg is so visionary. Greg has this amazing strategy for the Q3 earnings. At first, I was supportive. I wanted her to succeed. But then, the late nights started.
It started with the phone. Sarah used to leave her phone on the coffee table, face up. Suddenly, it was always face down, or in her pocket, or in the bathroom with her while she showered. One Tuesday night, we were watching a movie. Her phone buzzed. She lunged for it. I mean, physically lunged. She saw me looking and laughed. A nervous, high-pitched laugh. "Oh, just work crisis. Greg needs your file." At 10:30 p.m.? I mentioned I work in cybersecurity, right? I deal with data breaches for a living. I know when a system is compromised, and my marriage was showing all the signs of a security breach. I didn't confront her. That's rookie mistake number 1. If you confront without proof, they gaslight you. They call you crazy. They make you apologize for doubting them. No, I needed hard data. I couldn't get into her phone. She had changed the passcode, but she forgot that we shared a family plan on our cellular provider. I logged into the carrier's website. I pulled the call logs and text metadata. My heart stopped. Every morning on her way to work, 20 minutes call to a number ending in 4599. Every evening on her way home, 30 minutes call to 4599. Hundreds of texts, pictures sent. I ran the number. It was a corporate line registered to her company. But here is the kicker. I checked her Google timeline history. We shared locations for safety, something we set up years ago and she likely forgot about. On the nights she was working late at the office, her GPS showed her at a condo complex downtown, the Platinum Towers. I looked up the residence. Gregory P. Miller, Unit 42B.
Knowing is one thing. Seeing is something else. I needed undeniable proof. In our state, infidelity affects alimony. I wasn't just going to lose my wife. I wasn't going to let her take half of what I built while she was sleeping with her boss. I bought a VAR, a voice-activated recorder, small, black, magnetic. I stuck it under the passenger seat of her car. 3 days later, she said she had a team-building dinner. I waited until she was asleep that night, went out to the garage, retrieved the recorder, and put on my headphones. I heard the car door close. I heard the engine start. Then her Bluetooth connected. It dialed Greg. "Hey, baby," she said. Her voice was different. It was the voice she used to use with me. "I can't wait to see you. David is being so annoying lately. He's like a lost puppy. I think he suspects something, but he's too spineless to do anything." Then Greg's voice laughed. "Don't worry about him. Once the promotion goes through and we secure the bonus, you can leave him. You just need to endure him for a few more months." "I know," she said. "I love you." I sat in the dark garage for 2 hours. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Something inside me died that night, but something else was born. Pure, cold hatred. She called me spineless. She was about to find out just how much of a backbone I really had.
I played the role of the loving husband for 3 more weeks. It was the hardest acting gig of my life. I kissed her goodbye. I asked about her day. I even cooked her favorite dinner. Meanwhile, I was busy. Step 1, the lawyer. I found the nastiest divorce attorney in the city. I gave him everything, the audio files, the GPS logs, the phone records. He told me that since she was sleeping with her direct superior, the company would be very interested in this liability. Step 2, the finances. I separated our accounts. I documented every penny she spent on dinners and hotels as dissipation of marital assets. Step 3, the event. Sarah's 30th birthday was coming up. Her parents were flying in, her sister, her best friends, and of course, she had invited her work team, including Greg. It was the perfect stage.
The party was at our house, a backyard barbecue. Everyone was there. Her parents were hugging me, telling me what a great husband I was for organizing this. Greg showed up with a bottle of expensive wine, shaking my hand, smiling in my face. The man sleeping with my wife was eating my burgers and drinking my beer. I waited until everyone had eaten. It was time for the toasts. I tapped my glass. Clink, clink, clink. Everyone, can I have your attention? The yard went quiet. Sarah was smiling, holding Greg's arm, ostensibly in a friendly way, but I saw the squeeze she gave him. "I've prepared a little slideshow," I announced, a montage of memories from the past 6 months, to show everyone just how hard Sarah has been working. I connected my laptop to the big 70-inch outdoor TV we had set up. The first slide was a picture of us, Oz from the crowd. The second slide was a screenshot of the GPS timeline showing her at the Platinum Towers at 2 a.m. The crowd went silent. Confusion. Then I hit play on the audio. David is so spineless, I can't wait to leave him. The silence was deafening. Then a gasp from her mother. Sarah's face went white, pale white, like a ghost. She dropped her wine glass. Crash. Greg looked like he was about to vomit. He tried to back away, but he was cornered by Sarah's father, who was a retired Marine. I looked at Sarah. I spoke into the microphone. "Happy birthday, Sarah. I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer will contact you. And Greg, I've already forwarded this entire folder to your company's HR department and the board of directors. Check your email." I dropped the mic, literally, and I walked inside, locked the door, and watched through the window as her world burned down. The fallout was nuclear. Sarah's parents refused to let her stay with them. They are old school and were humiliated. She had to stay at a motel. Greg? He was fired 3 days later. It turns out sleeping with a subordinate and expensing the hotel rooms to the company credit card is a massive violation of policy. His wife? Yeah, he was married too. Took him for everything he had. As for the divorce, because I had proof of infidelity and financial dissipation, I kept the house, I kept my pension. She walked away with her car and her clothes. She tried to call me last week, a voicemail. She was crying, saying she made a mistake, that Greg meant nothing, that she missed her life, she missed the dog. I didn't delete the voicemail. I saved it. Sometimes, when I'm having a bad day, I listen to it. Not because I miss her, but because it reminds me that the spineless man she mocked was strong enough to stand up for himself. If your gut tells you something is wrong, listen to it. It's usually right. Thanks for listening.
I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these. You always think you're special, that your marriage is the one exception to the statistics. But looking back, I realize I was just blind. My name is Mark, and 6 months ago, I destroyed my wife's life. Or rather, I let her destroy it, and I just made sure she felt every single brick hit her on the way down. She wanted a dream house, a new car, and a life of luxury before leaving me for her coworker. Instead, she got a foreclosure, a public humiliation, and a cardboard box. Here is how I dismantled my marriage. Piece by piece.
To give you some context, my wife Sarah, 32 female, and I have been married for 7 years, together for 10. I work in software engineering, specifically in cybersecurity. That detail is important for later. Sarah works in PR. For years, things were great, or so I thought. I worked long hours to fund our lifestyle. We live in a high-cost area in California. I paid the mortgage, the bills, the vacations. Sarah's salary was effectively her fun money. About a year ago, Sarah started talking about upgrading. She wanted the forever home, a place with a pool, a guest house, the works. It was a stretch financially, but I had recently inherited a significant sum from my late grandfather, and my stock options at work were vesting. I wanted to make her happy. We started house hunting. At the same time, she started working late, a lot. She blamed a big merger at her firm. She was constantly texting her project manager, a guy named Greg. I met Greg once at a Christmas party. He was the kind of guy who shakes your hand too firmly and smiles with too many teeth. But I trusted my wife. I was the provider, the rock. Why would she look elsewhere?
The day my life ended was a Tuesday. It was mundane. Sarah was in the shower. She had left her iPad on the kitchen island. Usually I respect her privacy, but I wanted to check the weather for a weekend trip I was planning to surprise her with. I tapped the screen. It wasn't locked, but the weather app wasn't open. iMessage was. The messages were syncing from her phone in real time. I saw a name, Greg Enb. My stomach dropped. I shouldn't have looked, but I couldn't stop. I scrolled up. It wasn't just flirting. It was vivid, graphic. They mocked me. One message from Sarah stood out, glowing on the white screen like a neon sign of betrayal. She wrote, "Just hang in there, baby. He's closing on the house in 2 months. Once my name is on that deed and the inheritance is tied up in the equity, I'm filing. We'll have the house and I'll take half his 401k. We just need to play the part a little longer." Greg replied, "Can't wait to sleep in his bed." I felt like I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the iPad. I heard the shower water stop. I panicked. I put the iPad down, grabbed my keys, and walked out the front door before she could see my face. I sat in my car around the corner and just screamed. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't confront her the next day. Being in cybersecurity, I know one thing. Information is ammunition. If I confronted her now, she'd spin it, hide assets, or gaslight me. I needed to be a ghost. For the next 6 weeks, I put on the performance of a lifetime. I smiled. I cooked dinner. I talked about the new house. I even let her pick out curtains for a bedroom I knew she'd never sleep in. Inside, I was dying. Every time she touched me, my skin crawled. While she was planning the decor,
I was planning the war. First, I contacted a shark of a divorce lawyer. I showed him the screenshots I had captured. He told me, in California, it's a no-fault state. Infidelity doesn't impact the division of assets much, but if we can prove she is planning financial fraud, or if we structure the house purchase correctly, we can screw her over. So we hatched a plan.
A house closing was scheduled for October 1st. I told Sarah that to get the best interest rate, and because the inheritance money was technically separate property, the lender suggested I buy the house in the name of a trust. I told it was just tax stuff and that I'd add her name to the title 6 months later to refinance. She hesitated. She texted Greg. He wants to put it in a trust first. Is that a problem? Greg, the idiot, replied, "Nah, as long as you're married when he buys it, it's community property. We're good. Let him pay the down payment." Greg was wrong. My lawyer had set up an irrevocable trust funded solely by my inheritance, which is not community property if kept separate. The house would belong to the trust, not me personally, and since I hadn't mixed the funds yet, she had zero claim to it. I also started moving my personal items out of the house slowly, just small things, high school yearbooks, expensive watches, important documents. I stored them at a buddy's place. She never noticed. She was too busy sending nudes to Greg in the office bathroom.
The week of the closing came. Sarah wanted to throw a pre-move-in party at the new house. The sellers had already moved out, so the place was empty. She invited everyone, her friends, her family, my family, and, audaciously, some work colleagues, including Greg. She wanted to show off. She wanted to parade her victory. I decided this was the perfect stage. The party was in full swing. About 40 people were in the empty living room, drinking champagne out of plastic cups. Everyone was congratulating us. Greg was there, standing in the corner, smirking at me. He even shook my hand and said, "Lucky man, Mark. It's a beautiful estate." I smiled. "You have no idea, Greg." At 8 p.m., I tapped my glass with a spoon. Silence fell over the room. Sarah beamed, hanging on to my arm, looking like the doting wife. "I want to make a toast," I said, my voice echoing in the empty hall, "to new beginnings and to honesty." I pulled out a remote. I had set up a portable projector earlier, claiming we'd watch a slideshow of our memories. Sarah and I have been through a lot, but recently, I realized that our futures are heading in different directions. I clicked the button.
This is the explosion. The first image wasn't a wedding photo. It was a screenshot of the text, "He's closing on the house. Once my name is on the deed, I'm filing." A hush fell over the room. It was dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Sarah froze. Her grip on my arm tightened, her nails digging in. "Mark, what is this? Turn it off," she hissed. I ignored her. Click. Next slide. A photo she sent Greg. Explicit. Click. Greg's reply. "Can't wait to sleep in his bed." Gasps erupted from her family. Her mother put a hand over her mouth. Greg, across the room, turned pale white and started backing toward the sliding glass door. I pulled my arm away from Sarah. "Sarah," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "you wanted this house. You wanted the lifestyle. You planned to divorce me the moment the ink was dry." I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a thick envelope. "Well, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is I know everything. The good news is you don't have to wait to file for divorce." I handed her the envelope. "I've already filed. These are the papers. Consider yourself served." She looked at the papers, then at me, tears welling up, not of sorrow, but of panic. "Mark, stop. You're embarrassing me. We can talk about this." "And one more thing," I said, turning to the crowd. "This house, the one Greg couldn't wait to sleep in, I bought it this morning, but not in my name. It's in a trust.
funded by inheritance. You have no claim to it. You have no claim to my savings. And since you signed the prenup 7 years ago regarding infidelity clauses, well, you get nothing. I looked at Greg, and Greg, I forwarded all these chats to your HR department an hour ago. Since you two used company phones for some of these interactions, I think you violated the corporate conduct policy. Enjoy the unemployment line.
The chaos that followed was beautiful. Her dad was screaming at Greg. Sarah was sobbing on the floor trying to grab my leg. I simply walked out, got in my car, and drove to a hotel where I had booked a suite for the week. In the aftermath, the divorce. It was finalized quickly because of the evidence and the prenup, which I thank God I insisted on back when I was young and cynical. She walked away with her car and her personal savings, which were less than $5,000. The job, Greg was fired immediately. It turns out sending explicit photos on a company-issued iPhone is a breach of contract. Sarah was asked to resign to avoid a scandal, as Greg was technically her superior on some projects. The house, I kept the house. I live in it now. It's big, quiet, and peaceful. I bought a dog, a German Shepherd named Buster. He's more loyal than Sarah ever was.
Sarah tried to reach out a month ago. She's living in a small apartment with 2 roommates. She sent a long email about how she made a mistake and misses the life we had. I didn't reply. I just forwarded the email to Greg. To anyone listening, trust but verify. And if you find out you're being played, don't get mad immediately. Get smart. Wait. Plan. And when you strike, make sure you don't miss. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story of revenge, hit that like button. Stay safe out there, and watch your back.
My name is Mark. For 10 years, I thought I was the luckiest man on earth. My wife, Sarah, was the kind of woman people turned around to look at in a room. She was smart, a high-flying marketing executive, and she always made me feel like I was her anchor. We had the house, the golden retriever, the Saturday morning coffee routines. People used to tell us we were marriage goals. I believed them. I really did. But looking back now, the signs were there. I just chose to call them stress or being busy. I didn't know that while I was planning our 10th anniversary trip to Italy, Sarah was planning my replacement. This isn't just a story about a broken heart. It's a story about how I stayed silent, played the long game, and watched her world burn down by her own hand.
It started 6 months ago. Sarah suddenly had a lot of late-night strategy sessions. Now, I'm an architect. I know what long hours feel like. But Sarah started taking her phone into the shower. She changed her passcode, something we'd never done in a decade. One night, she came home at 11 p.m., smelling like expensive bourbon and a cologne I didn't recognize. It wasn't mine. I asked her about it, and she laughed it off, saying she was at a celebratory dinner for a client and sat next to a heavy sprayer. The worst part? My best friend, Jason, was always there to comfort me. Jason and I had been brothers since college. He was the one who told me, "Mark, you're being paranoid. She's a boss. She's killing it. Don't be that insecure guy." I felt like an idiot. I actually thanked him for keeping my head straight. Little did I know, Jason wasn't just my friend. He was the client Sarah was strategizing with.
The truth came out on a Tuesday. Sarah left her old iPad at home, and for some reason, the iMessage sync hadn't been turned off. I was sitting on the couch when a notification popped up. It was from Jason. It said, "I can't wait for Friday. Being with you in that hotel felt more like home than my actual house. Mark has no clue. He's so easy to play. My heart didn't just break, it stopped. I felt a coldness spread from my chest to my fingertips. I opened the thread. There were months of messages, photos, videos. They mocked me. They talked about how they'd use the money from our joint Italy fund to rent a private villa together later this year. They even joked about my stupid anniversary gift, a necklace I'd spent 3 months saving for. I sat in that dark living room for 4 hours. I didn't cry. The sadness was replaced by something else. A very quiet, very sharp clarity. I realized that if I confronted her now, she'd get half the house, half my savings, and probably alimony. I wasn't going to let that happen.
I didn't say a word. When Sarah came home that night, I kissed her forehead and asked how her day was. She lied to my face, and I smiled back. The next day, I hired a private investigator named Frank. I told him I wanted everything. GPS trackers on the car, high-res photos, financial records. For 30 days, I lived in a house with a stranger. I watched her text him while sitting across from me at dinner. I watched her blush at her screen while I was talking about our future. Frank delivered. He found out Jason was actually embezzling funds from his own firm to pay for their getaways, and Sarah was helping him clean the paper trail through her marketing agency. This wasn't just an affair anymore. It was corporate fraud. My lawyer, a shark named Miller, told me, "Mark, you can ruin her life legally, but if you want the house and the assets, we need her to sign a post-nuptial agreement under the guise of estate planning for our future kids." So I played the vulnerable husband. I told Sarah I wanted to make sure she was protected no matter what. I presented her with a document that basically said, in the event of proven infidelity, the offending party forfeits all rights to the marital home and all joint accounts. She was so arrogant, so sure I'd never find out, that she signed it without even showing it to a lawyer. She thought she was signing a safety net. She was signing her eviction notice.
Our 10th anniversary arrived. I organized a surprise party at a high-end restaurant. I invited everyone: her parents, my parents, our co-workers, and of course, Jason. Sarah was glowing. She thought this was the pinnacle of her perfect life. Jason was there, patting me on the back, telling me what a great guy I was. I stood up for the toast. The room went quiet. "Everyone," I said, holding a champagne flute. 10 years is a long time. You think you know a person. You think you know your best friend. I looked directly at Jason. His smile wavered just a fraction. I wanted to give Sarah a gift she'd never forget, something that reflects exactly who she is. I turned on the large projector screen behind me. Sarah thought it was a slideshow of our vacations. Instead, the first slide was the screenshot of the iMessage from the iPad. Mark has no clue. He's so easy to play. The second slide was a high-resolution photo of them kissing in the parking lot of a motel 3 days ago. The room went deathly silent. Sarah's face went from tan to ghostly white. Jason tried to stand up, but I held up my hand. "And for you, Jason," I continued, "I've already sent the file regarding the marketing consulting fees you've been paying Sarah to your board of directors. They're expecting you for a meeting at 8 a.m. tomorrow with the police."
The fallout was glorious. Because of the post-nuptial agreement she signed, she had 24 hours to vacate the house. Her parents were so disgusted they refused to let her stay with them. Jason was fired within the week and is currently facing a massive lawsuit for embezzlement. Sarah's agency dropped her the moment the consulting scandal went public. She tried to sue me for emotional distress, but my lawyer just laughed. I sold the house. I didn't want the memories. I took the money, all of it, and finally took that trip to Italy. But I went alone. Sometimes people ask me if I regret being so cruel. I just look at the photo I took of the Italy fund jar before I emptied it. It wasn't about being cruel. It was about balance. She took my trust, so I took her future. Now I wake up in a quiet apartment, drink my coffee, and I don't check my phone. Because for the first time in 10 years, I don't have to wonder who's on the other side of the screen. I'm finally free.
What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have confronted her immediately, or would you have played the long game? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. Thanks for listening.